course, after spending an entire video hating on CS2, making it one of my most viewed and most disliked videos, like, ever, I, like the brilliant genius and narcissist that I am now going to attack an even larger game, whose community will crucify me if I just simply say that their favorite character is mid. Also, if any of the people who talked shit about Valorant come over to this video and say the same, "Oh, Genshin is Chinese game and it has kernel anti-cheat like Valorant, it steals your information and sells it to China," then please go ahead, delete all your social media because they take information from you. Delete your phone because it tracks you at all times. Delete all your programs because any of them could be spyware. Delete Windows because a lot of it is spyware. And go and live in the woods. Now, before I start my criticism, there are a few things I would like to point out. To begin with, I play Genshin a lot. I started playing around the time of its first anniversary, and then I quit and gave away the account. The account was somewhere around AR 43, and it wasn't really anything special. And then I came back, and I made a new account. And then I quit because I lost two 50-50s in a row. But then I returned again, and I am now an AR 57 player with a top 15 Ayaka. In addition to this, because in the last video, a lot of dumb people didn't understand me when I decided to briefly skim over some topic, this time I'm going to go way more in depth on my points, therefore stopping dumb people from complaining that I didn't explain something very well. With that jabbering out of the way, let's talk about why Genshin kinda sucks. Now, I am in no way implying that Genshin is a bad game. On the contrary, the game is way better than Strike Counter, but there are just certain aspects in Genshin that cannot be ignored, and I am going to highlight them. To begin all of this, I would like to talk about just how pay to win the game is. Now, it's not like you have to pay. In fact, I'm completely free to play, but just so I can explain a little better, let me paint you a picture. You are a new player that just installed Genshin Impact, and you play through the first things that teach you the basics, explain you how the game works, you know, all that stuff. Now you're free to do whatever you want, and you decide to go explore, and wow, you realize that your characters suck black dick. You look at the wishing screen and see a very cute, attractive, interesting lady with a boob sword, and you decide to pull for her. But you don't have any primos. So, you Google how to get more primos, and you find out that exploring lends you primos. So you'd begin to explore. When you explore, you can find 5 types of chests. Common, which give you 2 primo gems, exquisite and remarkable, which both give you 5 primo gems, and precious and luxurious chests, which give you 10.
Now, to get one wish, you need 160 primo gems, which means you're gonna have to open a lot of chests.
There are also these things called oculuses, which you can give to statues of the archons to get primos and more stamina until you max it out. You can also get sigils, which in the latest 3 regions, you can exchange for more primos, and some other rewards. Now you find out about the interactive map, which shows you all the chests and explains how to find them. Using it, you max out your exploration everywhere, except the desert and Inazuma because fuck you, and start to pull.
Okay, please be Raiden, please be Raiden. Just one when...
Yeah, welcome to Genshin Gambling. I'll come back to this when I'm done ranting about how pay to win the game is. With nothing else to do, you decide to build this character. So, you go on YouTube and find the very mentally sane Zyox.
Can't spell succeed without suck, okay? It's not always gonna be seed. Sometimes you're gonna suck.
And watch his guide in which he pretends to be human. Then you're like, alright, let's do this. So what do? Well, you decide to level your character. But wait, what's this? You need boss drops. Alright, I'll just farm the boss. Wait, what's this thing? This thing is Resin. Resin is a thing that the gods of Celestia bestow upon you mortal that you can make your character even a fraction as strong as they themselves are. But because they're slow as hell, they bestow it upon you every 8 minutes. Bro, I can't even last that long in bed, why do you do this? It's also capped at 160. But okay, you farm the boss and then you run out of resin. So now you have to wait 20 hours for the resin to reset. But wait, you can add more resin by using either this moon thing that looks like my erect cock upside down, or using primo gems. Now, because you explored everything but the desert and Inazuma because fuck you, you decide to renew with primos and get more drops. Alright, my character is 90. Now I need to level his weapon. Luckily, because the wishing system hates you, it gave you 5 copies of the bell. So you are 5 and 90. After farming for in the domain and renewing your resin another 16 times, now it's time for talent levels. Now talent levels are straightforward. They raise the power of your normal attacks, your skill, and burst. Nothing crazy there. However, this is the worst part of upgrading your characters because not only does it require literal ages to get all the books, you also need to wait for weekly bosses, which reset once a week if you want to upgrade your talent past level 6. Oh, and you also need a shit ton of Mora. I mean, literally. At this point, you run out of primo gems and you cannot reset your resin. But wait, you can buy primo gems. So you get out your credit card and Wait, no. That's wrong. You can only reset Resin with primos up to 6 times a day. Oh well, forget that. You might be able to 90 your character, but absolutely forget about talents and weapon, not to mention artifacts. Oh, have I told you about artifacts? There are also things you can get with Resin, but unlike other things, they give you the ability to gamble. Now, artifacts can have different stats on them, some good and some terrible. When you upgrade an artifact, its main stat goes up by a set value, and its substats upgrade at every 4th level. 4, 8, 12, 16, you get it, until the artifact reaches its max level, at 20. As I already said, the main stat will always be upgraded by the same amount, but the substat, which most people care about, will be upgraded randomly. When you reach every 4th level, a random stat is upgraded for one of the few set amounts. When you get extremely lucky, you can get an absolutely preposterously amazing piece. That is if the goddamn game even gives you a piece like that. Now, if you're unlucky, you might not even get a piece worth upgrading for weeks. Usually I want to say you will get a decent artifact maybe once per 2 to 3 days. But that's if the game likes you. And if it doesn't, it will give you a perfect piece every single domain run, only to roll into all the wrong stats. Because even if a piece looks amazing at 0, it can look horrible at 20. Oh, and while we are on the subject of gambling and luck, let's talk the wishing system. Now, the wishing system is fairly straightforward. You wish, and you have a chance to get a 3, 4, or 5 star. You have a certain chance of getting a 4 star every pull. At a certain point, it starts increasing until you are guaranteed to get a 4 star at 10 wishes since the last one. This is called pity. Similarly with 5 stars, except your pity, aka the last time since 5 star, begins way farther and ends at 90, when you have a 100% chance to get a 5 star. Except there's no guarantee that either the 5 star or the 4 star will be the one you want. Usually on a banner, there are 3 4 stars along with a main 5 star. You have a 50% chance to get one of the characters on the banner, or get literally any other thing available on the standard banner of the same rarity. Now, after you lose your chance of getting either the banner 4 star or 5 star, the game guarantees that you get a 4 or 5 star on the banner next time you get it. For example, you see these 3 4 stars on the banner, yet when you pull for a 4 star, it's not one of them. Therefore, the next one is guaranteed to be one of the 3 4 stars on the banner. Similarly with a 5 star. When you pulled for Raiden, you lost a D-Luke. Now you're guaranteed to get Raiden next 5 star. This also carries through banners, meaning that if you lost a 50-50, let's say, last banner, you're still guaranteed to get the 5 star you want, or the 4 star. Anyways, we got a little off track. How's the game pay to win? Well, first of all, you can buy Genesis crystals, which you can trade for Primo gems, with which you can then pull for characters, or get more resin, up to 6 times a day. Now, I wouldn't consider this too offensive. After all, a game needs a way to make money. But here's the thing. The Primo gems you get as an F2P are extremely time limited. After you've completed all the exploration, the quests, the achievements, the only real way for you to get Primos is through the daily commissions and events, which aren't even very generous. Usually the events rarely give more than 10 wishes, if they even give you 5. And the daily commissions only give you a total of 60 Primos, which isn't even half of a pull. Like, bro. When 4.4 was announced, I saw the banners and realized I wanted literally every single character. Except for Yai. Screw you, Yai. Before this, I pulled for Farina, meaning I had no Primo gems. And by this time, most of my exploration was 100%, except for the desert, fuck you. And because of this, the only real way for me to get Primos would be quests and events. Except I finished essentially all the quests, and the events rarely give you more than 10 wishes worth of Primo gems. Now, I managed to get enough Primos to get a 5 star on the Raiden banner, but as you saw, I lost the 50-50. Fun fact, I haven't won a single 50-50 in my life. Now that Zhao's banner is out, I have literally completed all the content in the game, and the only way I can guarantee getting him after getting Nahida is paying, because even if I can get 80 wishes to get to pity, I still have to win the 50-50, which I am sure I won't. But that isn't all the pay to win. In addition to this, the game offers a battle pass, on which you can get a weapon at level 30. Oh, and that's the only way you can get these weapons, by the way. Literally. They are locked behind a paywall. That's a bit cringe, in it? Don't get me wrong, the game is certainly not as pay to win as some other ones. Tower fantasy. Tower fantasy. But it still isn't exactly cheap if you want a lot of characters and you haven't had enough time to accumulate 50,000 Primos. Now, I will say that the prices for the wishes aren't that bad, being around $30 to get a 5 star. You also get a bonus on your first time buying it, which makes it more enticing to spend. Remember how I said that I had completed all the content in Genshin? Yeah, the game has basically no endgame content. Once you complete all the quests and exploration, that's basically it. You've completed the game. The only sort of endgame content is the Abyss, which is pretty easy once you have well-built characters. But even more, to build those characters you need Resin. Resin, which is time-locked. You know what that means? That means that new players are barred from getting better. They have to painfully wait for the Resin to reset for them to get a better character. Isn't that lame? Now you could say that this has to do with Chinese gaming laws where you can't play for more than like 2 hours a day or something. But then I'll just ask you why Genshin breaks a lot of other Chinese gaming laws. Genshin is a game that offers you a lot of content, but once you waited enough and invested enough time in it, you've completed the game. There's nothing for you to do but to raise characters, which if you have already raised them enough to defeat the Abyss, there's no point in playing. The only content Genshin offers besides this are the events, which most of the time are at best mid, but most of the time the events are lackluster and just uninteresting. Another criticism of Genshin I would like to bring up is its lackluster combat system. This is something that I believe Tower of Fantasy did better than Genshin. When I fought something in Tower of Fantasy, the combat felt a lot more snappier? Is that the word? There was just a better feeling of impact when you would hit an enemy. Compare that to Genshin where fighting just feels boring and predictable. When I fought a boss in Tower of Fantasy, I was fully invested and focused, enjoying not only the rewards I would get for beating the boss, but also having fun just fighting him. Of course, if they weren't an enemy you literally couldn't beat as an FTP. 90% of the game. Genshin combat makes me want to fall asleep. There is no feeling of impact and very little interesting character mechanics. The only character that has something widely different to everybody else is Neuvillette, because he just has a laser beam. What the hell? But most of the characters are just very pale and similar, requiring little skill from the player and no thought. Don't get me wrong, characters in Genshin obviously have different playstyles, like Zhao's plunging, Yoimiya's brain dead arthritis, Neuvillette's laser beam, but all these can get very boring, and you can basically group characters based on their playstyle. I would love to see characters with much more wildly different playstyles than this. This is why one of my favorite characters is Scaramouche. I mean, he literally flies and murders everything. Yet even this can be compared to something like you just also press E and left click for hours. Now, I would also criticize the story and story quests in Genshin, but not only has this been done so much by other people before me, I also really just don't care about this, like, at all. I usually just skip everything except for the, like, main Archon quests, so, like, I won't even bother because, you know, I don't really do it. But something that I would actually like to criticize is the absolute lack of any care for its community. Even Valve fixes the things the community doesn't like and interacts with the community. Hoyoverse or Mahoyo or Chinese people just hate you.
Oh, you played the game for years? Here, get on your knees. I'll give you 3 Primo Gems.
Bro, like, hello? You greedy little Chinese people gave us 3 wishes? Is it like to compare the 3rd anniversary with like 3 wishes? Haha. Genshin's main problem is its lack of competition. Tower of Fantasy popped up only to disappear into irrelevance, and other gacha games nowadays are just cash grabs. Hopefully, Wuthering Waves or Project Mugen or Blue Protocol are not like Tower of Fantasy and instead offer actual competition to Genshin, forcing the developers to do something and actually start caring about its community. Competition would be very helpful for Genshin and for us, the players. Now, of course, Genshin is not going to rework the combat system, but you know what you could do? What they did when they introduced Fontaine. Add actually awesome exploration with new mechanics, with good rewards, fun quests, and events, as well as new characters with more creative playstyle. I mean, imagine when they introduced the region of war, the Pyro region, I don't remember its actual name. They introduced a new mechanic, raids, where you can start a literal war with some random village in the region. Like, have a literal genocide. Add some difficulty selection and good rewards, like even just 10 primos. And you bet I will be condoning mass war crimes in the region. Of course though, if they do implement this, they will add a cap to how much you can play a day because they wouldn't want you to get infinite primos and potentially lose out on profit. But hey, I can dream. Genshin is a game that somehow is amazing, and yet it's just extremely boring. The lack of content is extremely evident to any player who's above AR55, and the gameplay that just feels old after so much gaming is just uninteresting. Also, Hoyoverse's absolutely greedy reward system where they give free-to-play players basically nothing. Combine all three of these, it's just a mess, man. Genshin is a genuinely fun game, but the thing is, every time I want to get on Genshin, I get on, and then I realize that there's nothing to do, which is unfortunate because the game has so much potential, yet Hoyoverse just doesn't want to lose out on profit. I'm really looking forward to the new Gacha games coming out, and hopefully they can provide healthy competition for Genshin that will actually make the game address these problems and fix them. Thank you for watching this video. I hope I didn't bore you with a video that is probably around 20 minutes long. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe, I guess. Bye.